A Werewolf Shifter Romance. Written by Amelia Hart. Chapter 1. Awakening Shadows. I wake to the sound of roosters crowing from the village beyond the castle walls, their calls echoing through the pre-dawn stillness. My small room in the servants' quarters has one narrow window that faces east, and pale morning light filters through the threadbare curtain I stitched myself from leftover kitchen linens. The stone walls hold the night's chill, and I pull my thin blanket tighter around my shoulders before forcing myself to rise. My name is Evora. I am 20 years old, and I have been a servant in the royal castle for as long as I can remember. I am an orphan, taken in by the castle staff when I was barely old enough to walk. The other servants say my parents died of fever during a harsh winter, but I have no memories of them. No memories of a mother's embrace or a father's laughter. Only these cold stone walls and the endless routine of servitude. I dress quickly in my simple gray work dress, the fabric worn soft from countless washings. My fingers fumble with the laces, still clumsy from sleep. I splash cold water from the basin on my face, gasping at the shock of it, then tie my long brown hair back with a strip of leather. When I catch my reflection in the small cracked mirror propped on the wooden shelf, I pause. My green eyes stare back at me, and for a moment, I feel strange, disconnected, as if I am looking at someone I should know, but do not quite recognize. I shake off the odd sensation and leave my room, joining the other servants who shuffle through the corridors toward the kitchens. The castle is beginning to stir. Guards change shifts at the main gates. Stable hands lead horses to the training yards. Maids carry fresh linens toward the upper chambers where the nobles sleep. I have lived here my entire life, yet I still feel like an outsider. There is a secret I guard carefully, one that sets me apart from everyone around me. I am wolfless, in a world where shifters reign supreme, where the ability to transform into a powerful wolf is a mark of strength and belonging. I am nothing. I cannot shift. I have never felt the pull of the moon or heard the howl of my inner beast. I am human in a castle of wolves, and if anyone discovered the truth, I would be cast out. Or worse. So I work. I keep my head down. I scrub floors and peel vegetables and carry trays of food to banquet halls where nobles feast and laugh. I make myself useful, indispensable even, so that no one questions my place here. The kitchen is already bustling when I arrive. Cook, a stout woman with flour perpetually dusting her apron, barks orders at the younger girls who scurry to obey. The smell of fresh bread, baking in the stone ovens, fills the air, mingling with the sharp scent of herbs hanging in bundles from the rafters. Evora, you are late, Cook says without looking up from the dough she is kneading. Apologies, I murmur, tying an apron around my waist. I am not late, but arguing with Cook is pointless. She finds fault with everyone before breakfast. The king requests his morning meal in his chambers today. You will take it to him. My hands freeze mid-knot. Me? But I thought Marion usually serves the king. Marion is ill. You will go. Cook's tone leaves no room for argument. She slaps the dough onto the wooden table with more force than necessary. Do not dawdle. The Alpha King does not tolerate delays. The Alpha King. Tauren. The ruler of all shifter clans. The most powerful wolf in the realm. I have seen him from a distance, of course. Everyone has. He is impossible to miss when he walks through the great hall, tall and broad-shouldered, with long black hair that falls to his shoulders and a neatly trimmed beard that frames a strong jaw. His eyes are a deep, unsettling blue, and when they sweep across a room, everyone falls silent. Even other alphas bow their heads in his presence, but I have never been close to him. I have never stood in the same room alone with him. The thought makes my stomach twist with nerves. I help prepare the tray, arranging sliced bread, cheese, dried meats, and a pitcher of ale. My hands tremble slightly as I work, and I force myself to breathe steadily. It is just a task, just another chore. There is nothing to fear. Except there is. I carry the tray through the winding corridors of the castle, climbing the stone staircase to the upper floors where the royal chambers are located. My footsteps echo softly, and I pass guards stationed at intervals who barely glance at me. Servants are invisible to them, as we should be. When I reach the king's chambers, I hesitate outside the heavy wooden door. It is carved with intricate wolf symbols, their snarling faces seeming to watch me. I balance the tray on one arm and knock lightly. "Enter," a deep voice calls from within. I push the door open and step inside. The room is vast, with tall windows that overlook the forest beyond the castle. Furs cover the stone floor, and a massive bed with dark curtains dominates one wall. A table sits near the hearth, where a fire crackles softly. And standing by the window, silhouetted against the morning light, is the Alpha King. He does not turn immediately. His hands are clasped behind his back, and his posture is rigid, as if he is lost in thought. I set the tray on the table as quietly as I can, hoping to leave without disturbing him. But then he speaks. "You are new." His voice is low, rough, and it sends a shiver down my spine. I curtsy quickly, keeping my eyes on the floor. "No, Your Majesty. I have worked in the kitchens for many years. Marian is ill today, so I was sent in her place." There is a long silence. I can feel his gaze on me, heavy and intense, and my heart begins to pound. I risk a glance upward, and when our eyes meet, the world tilts. He is staring at me. Not just looking, but staring, as if he is seeing something that shocks him. His blue eyes are wide, and there is an expression on his face that I cannot name. Pain? Longing? Desperation? It is gone in an instant, replaced by a carefully blank mask. But I saw it. "What is your name?" he asks, his voice strained. "Evora, Your Majesty." He takes a step toward me, then stops abruptly, as if he has thought better of it. His jaw clenches, and I see his hands curl into fists at his sides. "Leave the tray." "Go." I curtsy again and turn to leave, but his voice stops me at the door. "Evora." I freeze, my hand on the doorframe. "Yes, Your Majesty." There is another long pause, and when he speaks again, his voice is softer, almost gentle. "Be careful where you walk in this castle. Not all places are safe." I glance back at him, confused, but he has turned away again, staring out the window as if I am no longer there. I leave quickly, my mind spinning. What just happened? The rest of the morning passes in a blur. I return to the kitchens and throw myself into my tasks, scrubbing pots and chopping vegetables with more force than necessary. But I cannot stop thinking about the king, about the way he looked at me, as if he knew me, as if seeing me hurt him. It made no sense. "You are quiet today," a voice says beside me, and I look up to see Jaslyn, my closest friend among the servants. She has bright red curls that escape her braid in wild tendrils and a smattering of freckles across her nose. Her amber eyes are warm and curious as she leans against the counter. Did something happen? "No," I lie, returning my attention to the carrots I am chopping. "Just tired." "You are always tired," she teases. "Come on, Evora. Tell me, did Cook yell at you again?" "I served the king this morning." Jaslyn's eyes widen. "The Alpha King? Really? What was he like?" "Terrifying," I admit, and it is not entirely a lie. "But he barely spoke to me." "Well, that is probably for the best. I have heard he is ruthless. Fair, but ruthless. They say he can kill a man with a single look." She lowers her voice conspiratorially. "They also say he has never taken a mate. Can you imagine? The most powerful alpha in the realm, and no Luna to stand beside him." I do not respond. My mind is elsewhere, replaying the moment our eyes met. There had been something in his gaze, something raw and broken, and I cannot shake the feeling that it was important. As the day wears on, I notice other strange things. Hadrian, the king's beta, appears in the kitchens during the midday meal. He is a tall man, with short blonde hair and sharp brown eyes, and he moves with the quiet confidence of someone who has spent years at the king's side. He speaks briefly with Cook. Then his gaze finds me across the room. He studies me for a long moment, his expression unreadable, before leaving without a word. It is unnerving. Betas do not visit the kitchens. They certainly do not seek out lowly servants with their eyes. Later, as I carry a basket of clean linens through the corridors, I pass Hadrian again. This time, he falls into step beside me, matching my pace. "The king has requested that you avoid the east wing for now," he says quietly, his tone casual but firm. I stop walking and turn to face him. Why? There are repairs being done. It is not safe. I glance down the corridor he is referring to. There are no sounds of hammers or saws. No scent of fresh wood or stone dust. It does not look like there are repairs. Hadrian's jaw tightens. Nevertheless, you will avoid it. Do you understand? There is something in his voice. A warning that makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. I nod slowly. I understand. Good. He walks away without another word, leaving me standing alone in the corridor. My heart racing. That evening, as I prepare for bed, I notice something that makes my blood run cold. On the back of my left hand, just below my knuckles, is a small dark mark. It looks like a bruise, but I do not remember injuring myself. I press my thumb against it, and it does not hurt. It is simply there, a shadow beneath my skin. I stare at it for a long time, trying to remember when it appeared, but my memory is blank. It is as if the mark has always been there, even though I know it has not. I climb into bed, pulling the blanket up to my chin, and close my eyes, but sleep does not come easily. My mind churns with questions that have no answers. Why did the king look at me like that? Why did Hadrian warn me away from the East Wing? And what is this mark on my hand? When I finally drift off, my dreams are dark and unsettling. I am running through shadowy corridors, my breath coming in ragged gasps. Something is chasing me, something I cannot see but can feel pressing closer with every step. Shadows whisper my name, their voices cold and cruel, and I run faster, desperate to escape. I wake with a start, my heart pounding and my skin damp with sweat. The room is still dark, the stars visible through my small window. I sit up and press my palms against my eyes, trying to calm my racing pulse. It was just a dream, just a nightmare, nothing more. But when I lower my hands and glance at the back of my left hand, the dark mark seems darker than before, larger, as if it has spread. I tell myself it is a trick of the dim light, that I am imagining things. But as I lie back down and pull the blanket over me, I cannot shake the feeling that something is very, very wrong, and that my life is about to change in ways I cannot yet understand. Chapter 2. Hidden Chambers. 3 days pass before I am summoned to the king's chambers again. This time, the request comes directly from Hadrian, who finds me in the laundry courtyard, hanging linens to dry in the morning sun. He does not speak to me in front of the other servants. Instead, he catches my eye and tilts his head toward the castle entrance, a silent command that I am expected to follow. My stomach twists with apprehension as I untie my apron and excuse myself, ignoring Jocelyn's curious glance. I follow Hadrian through the corridors, and we walk in silence until we are far from listening ears. The king has requested your presence, Hadrian says without preamble. He wishes for you to tend to his chambers regularly from now on. Cleaning, bringing meals, maintaining the hearth. I stop walking. Why me? Hadrian's expression remains neutral, but there is tension in the set of his shoulders. Because he has asked for you specifically. That is all you need to know. But Marion has been reassigned to other duties. His tone brooks no argument. You will report to his chambers every morning after breakfast and every evening before supper. Do not speak of this arrangement to the other servants. Before I can ask why such secrecy is necessary, he turns and walks away, leaving me standing alone in the corridor with 100 questions burning in my mind. When I reach the king's chambers and knock, his voice calls for me to enter. I push the door open and step inside, my heart hammering against my ribs. He is seated at the table near the hearth, dressed in simple black clothing that does nothing to diminish his commanding presence. His dark hair is loose today, falling past his shoulders, and his blue eyes fix on me the moment I enter. Evora, he says, and the way he speaks my name sends a shiver through me. It is not the way a king addresses a servant. It is softer, weighted with something I cannot identify. Your Majesty, I murmur, dropping into a curtsy. Hadrian said you wished for me to tend your chambers. Yes. He stands abruptly, moving toward the window as if he cannot bear to be still. I require someone reliable, someone who will not gossip or spread rumors. I do not gossip, Your Majesty. I know. He glances at me over his shoulder, and there it is again. That strange intensity in his gaze. You keep to yourself. You work quietly. You do not draw attention. I do not know how to respond to that. So I remain silent. After a moment, he turns away again, his hands gripping the window ledge. Go about your duties. Clean what needs cleaning. I will not disturb you. I move through the room carefully, gathering discarded clothing and straightening the furs on the bed. The entire time I feel his presence like a weight pressing against my back. He does not speak, but I can sense his eyes on me, tracking my every movement. When I kneel to tend the hearth, adding fresh logs and stirring the embers to life, he finally speaks again. How long have you served in the castle? All my life, Your Majesty. I was brought here as a small child. Your parents? Dead. Fever, they say. There is a long silence. When I glance over my shoulder, I find him staring at me with an expression that makes my breath catch. It is grief. Raw and unguarded. But why would my tragedy cause him pain? You have no memory of them, he asks quietly. None. He closes his eyes briefly, and when he opens them again, the grief is gone, replaced by that carefully controlled mask. That must be difficult. I have accepted it, Your Majesty. The castle is my home. The servants are my family, and yet you remain apart from them, he observes. You do not truly belong. The words strike too close to the truth, and I turn back to the hearth, my hands trembling slightly as I replace the iron poker. I belong where I am needed. Do you? His voice is closer now, and when I look up, he has moved to stand near me, towering over where I kneel. Or do you simply endure because you have no other choice? I rise slowly to my feet, forcing myself to meet his gaze even though every instinct tells me to look away. Is there a difference, Your Majesty? Something flickers in his eyes. Surprise, perhaps, or approval. You are bolder than you appear. I apologize if I have offended. You have not. He reaches out, and for a moment I think he is going to touch my face. But his hand stops midair, hovering between us, and then he pulls back abruptly, turning away. Continue your work. And Devora? Yes. When you are here, in these chambers, you may speak freely. I tire of formality. I do not know what to make of that declaration, so I simply nod and return to my tasks. But the tension in the room does not ease. If anything, it grows thicker, more suffocating. When I finish and move toward the door, he speaks again. Tomorrow, bring your midday meal here. We will eat together. I freeze, my hand on the door handle. Your Majesty, that would not be proper. I am the Alpha King, he says, his voice edged with something dangerous. I decide what is proper. You will do as I ask. It is not a request. It is a command. And so I curtsy and leave, my mind spinning with confusion and something else. Something warm and unsettling that coils in my chest and refuses to be ignored. That evening, I seek refuge in the castle library. It is a vast room lined with shelves that stretch to the vaulted ceiling, filled with books and scrolls collected over centuries. Few servants come here, and the elderly librarian, Master Benton, barely glances up from his work when I slip inside. I wander through the aisles, trailing my fingers along the spines of ancient volumes. I do not know what I am looking for, only that I need answers. The king's behavior makes no sense. The way he looks at me, the way he speaks to me, it is as if he knows me, but that is impossible. I pull a book from the shelf at random and settle into a corner where a single candle provides enough light to read. The pages are yellowed with age, and the text is written in an elegant script that takes effort to decipher. It is a history of the royal bloodline, detailing the reigns of past kings and the wars they fought. I am about to return it when a loose page falls from between the covers, drifting to the floor. I pick it up and realize it is not part of the original book. It is a fragment of something else, torn and stained with age. The handwriting is different, hurried and uneven, as if written in haste. The Curse of Morgath, I read aloud, my voice barely a whisper. 50 years past, the witch was executed for her crimes, but not before she condemned the royal line to suffer. What form this suffering takes, none can say, for those who know dare not speak of it. My heart begins to race. I scan the rest of the page, but the text cuts off abruptly, torn away. I search through the book for more, but there is nothing. Just this single fragment, hidden and forgotten. Morgath. The name sends a chill down my spine, though I do not know why. I fold the page carefully and tuck it into my pocket, then return the book to the shelf. My mind churns with questions. Who was Morgath? What did she do? And why does the mention of her name make my skin prickle with unease? Over the following days, I return to the library whenever I can steal a few moments. I search for any mention of Morgath, any clue that might explain the fragment I found. It becomes an obsession, this need to understand. I find scattered references in old histories. Morgath was a powerful sorceress who lived in the kingdom 50 years ago. She was accused of dark magic, of sacrificing children in twisted rituals meant to grant her immortality. When she was finally captured, the king at the time, Torin's grandfather, ordered her execution. But before she died, she cursed the royal line. No record details what the curse entailed. It is as if someone deliberately removed or destroyed those accounts. But I find a journal entry written by a servant who lived during that time. It is brief, scrawled in shaky handwriting. The Luna dies, and the king grieves. But she will return, they say. Again and again, until the curse is broken. May the gods have mercy on them both. I sit back, staring at the page. The Luna dies, and she will return. Again and again. What does that mean? My thoughts are interrupted when Hadrian appears at the library entrance. He scans the room until his eyes land on me, and then he approaches with measured steps. Evora, the king is asking for you. I close the journal quickly and stand, brushing dust from my skirt. Of course. As I follow him through the corridors, Hadrian speaks quietly. You have been spending time in the library. It is not a question, but a statement. I glance at him, trying to gauge his expression. Is that forbidden? No. He pauses at a corner, turning to face me. His brown eyes are serious, shadowed with something that looks like regret. But be careful what knowledge you seek, Evora. Some truths are dangerous. What do you mean? He opens his mouth as if to say more, then shakes his head. Just be careful. He walks away, leaving me standing alone once more, my heart pounding. Everyone in this castle seems to be hiding something, and I am starting to suspect that whatever they are hiding, it has something to do with me. When I reach the king's chambers, I find him standing by the window again, silhouetted against the fading light of dusk. He does not turn when I enter, but his shoulders tense, and I know he is aware of my presence. You asked for me, Your Majesty. I did. He finally turns, and the expression on his face steals my breath. It is longing, pure and unguarded, and it is directed at me. Sit with me. Please. I hesitate, then move to the chair across from him at the small table. He sits as well, and for a long moment we simply stare at each other. The silence stretches, heavy with unspoken words. Why do you look at me like that? I ask, the question slipping out before I can stop it. His jaw tightens. Like what? Like you know me. Like seeing me causes you pain. He closes his eyes and exhales slowly, as if the weight of the world rests on his shoulders. When he opens them again, there is a fierce determination in his gaze. Because you remind me of someone. Who? Someone I lost. His voice is rough, strained. Someone I loved more than anything in this world. My chest tightens. I am sorry for your loss, Your Majesty. Do not apologize. He reaches across the table, and this time, he does not stop himself. His hand cups my face, his thumb brushing along my cheekbone with aching gentleness. You have done nothing wrong. You never have. I should pull away. I should remind him of the boundaries between king and servant, but I do not. Instead, I lean into his touch, drawn by a force I do not understand. My body recognizes him in a way my mind cannot explain, and it terrifies me. Your Majesty, I whisper. Torin, he says. When we are alone, call me Torin. I cannot. Please. The word is a plea, and it breaks something inside me. Torin, I say softly, testing the name on my tongue. It feels right, natural. His eyes darken, and he leans closer, his forehead nearly touching mine. I should not do this. I know I should not. But God's help me. I cannot stay away from you. Why? My voice is barely audible. Why me? Because you are everything. He breathes. And then his lips are on mine. The kiss is gentle at first, tentative, as if he is afraid I will shatter beneath his touch. But when I respond, when my hands reach up to grip his shirt and pull him closer, he deepens the kiss with a desperation that steals my breath. He tastes of whiskey and wood smoke, and his scent surrounds me, grounding me even as the world tilts. When we finally break apart, both of us are trembling. He presses his forehead against mine, his breath ragged. Forgive me. I should not have. Do not apologize, I say, echoing his earlier words. Not for that. He pulls back slightly, his hands framing my face as he searches my eyes. You feel it, do not you? This pull between us. I nod, unable to deny it. I do not understand it. Neither do I. His thumb traces my lower lip, and his expression turns anguished. But I cannot fight it anymore. I have tried. Gods know I have tried. Then do not fight it. I whisper. His eyes close, and a shudder runs through him. You do not know what you are asking. Then tell me. But he does not. Instead, he kisses me again, and I lose myself in the heat of it, in the way his hands tangle in my hair, and his body presses against mine. For the first time in my life, I feel truly alive, truly seen. When I finally leave his chambers hours later, my lips are swollen and my heart is racing. I do not understand what is happening between us, but I know one thing with absolute certainty. This is only the beginning. Chapter 3. Beneath stone. I do not sleep that night. How could I? When my mind churns with questions, and my lips still burn from Torrhen's kiss, I lie in my narrow bed, staring at the ceiling beams, replaying every moment in his chambers, the way his hands trembled when he touched my face, the desperation in his voice when he said I reminded him of someone he lost, the heat of his mouth against mine. None of it makes sense. Kings do not fall for servants, especially not the Alpha King, who could have any woman in the realm. Yet when he kissed me, it felt like drowning and breathing at the same time, like coming home to a place I have never been. I finally give up on sleep when the first light of dawn creeps through my window. I dress quickly and make my way to the kitchens, where the morning routine is already underway. Cook barely glances at me as I tie on my apron and begin helping with breakfast preparations. The other servants move around me, chattering about trivial things, and I am grateful for the noise. It keeps the thoughts at bay. But throughout the day, I find myself drawn to the library again. During the brief moments when I can slip away from my duties, I search through more records, more journals, trying to piece together the fragments of information about Morgath and her curse. The words from the torn page haunt me, again and again, until the curse is broken. What could it mean? I am bent over an old ledger when Jaslyn finds me in the late afternoon. She slides into the seat across from me, her red curls escaping from her braid as usual. There you are. I have been looking everywhere for you. I am just reading, I say, closing the ledger quickly. She eyes me with suspicion. You have been acting strange lately. Ever since you started serving the king. My heart skips. I have not. Yes, you have. She leans forward, lowering her voice. What is going on, Evora? You can tell me. I want to. I want to tell someone about the confusion swirling inside me, about the way Torrhen looks at me, about the fragments of a curse I cannot understand. But something holds me back. A warning voice in my head that says speaking of these things might be dangerous. There is nothing to tell. I lie. The king is demanding. That is all. Jaslyn does not look convinced, but she lets it drop. All right, but if you need to talk, I am here. I know, thank you. After she leaves, I stare down at the ledger again, but the words blur together. My hands are shaking. I look down and notice the dark mark on my left hand has spread further, the shadows now creeping halfway up my forearm. I tug my sleeve down quickly, my heart racing. What is happening to me? That evening, I do not go to Torrhen's chambers as I have been doing. Instead, I slip out of the castle through a servant's entrance and walk along the outer courtyard, needing fresh air and space to think. The sun is setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, and the forest beyond the castle walls looks dark and mysterious. I should not be out here alone, but I cannot bring myself to care. My feet carry me along the edge of the courtyard until I reach a section of the castle I have never explored before, the eastern wing, the one Hadrian warned me to avoid. I stop, staring at the entrance to the corridor that leads into the depths of the castle. It is dark, the torch is unlit, and something about it makes my skin prickle. Why would Hadrian tell me to stay away from here? What is hidden in this part of the castle? Before I can talk myself out of it, I step into the corridor. My footsteps echo off the stone walls, and the air grows colder the further I walk. There are no windows here, only narrow slits high in the walls that let in faint slivers of twilight. I pass empty rooms and locked doors, my curiosity growing with each step. And then I find it. At the end of the corridor, tucked away in the shadows, is a door unlike any other in the castle. It is made of iron, heavy and ancient, with strange symbols carved into its surface, symbols that look like the ones I saw in the grimoire fragments. My breath catches. This is it. This is what Hadrian was trying to keep me from finding. I should turn back. I should leave this place and never return. But my body moves of its own accord, my hands reaching for the door. When my fingers touch the cold iron, something strange happens. My hand begins to tingle, and the symbols on the door glow faintly, responding to my touch. Then my fingers move, not consciously, not under my control, but as if guided by some forgotten instinct. They trace the symbols in a specific pattern, flowing from one to the next with precision I do not possess. It is like watching someone else's hand move my body, performing a task I have never learned but somehow know. The door clicks. The lock disengages with a sound that echoes through the empty corridor, and then, slowly, the heavy iron door swings open. Beyond it, a narrow staircase spirals downward into darkness. The air that rises from below is cold and stale, carrying with it the scent of earth and something else, something ancient and wrong. I light a small candle from the wall sconce and descend carefully, one hand trailing along the stone wall for balance. The stairs seem to go on forever, winding deeper and deeper into the earth beneath the castle. My heart pounds in my chest, but I do not stop. I cannot stop. Something is pulling me forward, demanding that I see what lies below. Finally, the stairs end, opening into a chamber carved from solid rock. The ceiling is low, supported by thick pillars, and the walls are lined with alcoves. But it is what sits in the center of the chamber that makes me freeze, the candle nearly slipping from my trembling fingers. 7 stone coffins, arranged in a circle. I approach slowly, my legs moving even as my mind screams at me to run. Each coffin is identical, carved from dark gray stone and sealed with heavy lids. And on each lid, etched in deep letters, is a name. My name. Evora. All 7 of them. Evora. 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 My breath comes in short, panicked gasps. This cannot be real. It cannot be. I must be dreaming, trapped in some nightmare that I cannot wake from. But when I reach out and touch the nearest coffin, the stone is solid and cold beneath my palm. Real. Undeniably real. With shaking hands, I grip the edge of the lid and push. It is heavy, far heavier than it should be, but adrenaline lends me strength. The lid grinds against the stone base, sliding inch by inch until finally, it falls away with a thunderous crash that echoes through the chamber. I peer inside and scream. A woman lies within, perfectly preserved as if she died only moments ago. But it is not just any woman. It is me. My face, my hair, my body, even the small scar on her left eyebrow that I got as a child when I fell in the kitchen. She is wearing a simple dress, her hands folded over her chest, and around her neck is the same pendant I wear, the one I have had for as long as I can remember. I stagger back, my mind refusing to accept what I am seeing, but I cannot look away. I cannot unsee it. My hands move on their own again, driven by horrified compulsion. I open the second coffin. Another identical body, The same face. The same everything. I open the third, the fourth, the fifth, sixth, seventh. All of them. All me. Some of the bodies are more decayed than others, their skin mottled with strange dark markings that cover their arms, necks, faces, the same markings that have been spreading across my own skin. I fall to my knees, bile rising in my throat. What is this? What sick, twisted nightmare have I stumbled into? Evora, the voice behind me is quiet, broken, and I know who it belongs to before I even turn around. Torin stands at the entrance to the chamber, his face pale and stricken. His blue eyes are wide with a mixture of grief and terror, and when he takes a step toward me, I scramble backward, my back hitting one of the coffins. "Stay away from me," I gasp, my voice shaking. "What is this? What have you done? Evora, please." "Do not say my name," I scream, and the sound echoes through the chamber, bouncing off the stone walls. What are these? Why do they have my face? Why? The world tilts. The edges of my vision blur, and the stone walls begin to shimmer and distort. Torin's expression shifts from grief to panic, and he lunges toward me, his hand outstretched. "No," he breathes, desperation cracking his voice. "Not yet. Please, not yet." But his words fade into a roar of white noise. The chamber dissolves around me, the coffins and the bodies and Torin himself all melting away into blinding light. I try to scream, but no sound comes out. I reach for something, anything, to anchor myself. But there is nothing. And then, darkness. When I open my eyes, I am lying in my bed. Morning light filters through the window, and I can hear the roosters crowing from the village. I sit up slowly, my heart pounding. My hands are shaking, and when I look down, I see the dark mark on my left hand. Small, faint, just beginning to form, exactly as it was weeks ago. No, that is impossible. I saw it spread up my arm. I know I did. But when I push up my sleeve, my skin is clear, unblemished, as if the spreading shadows never existed. I stumble out of bed and splash cold water on my face from the basin, trying to steady my breathing. My reflection stares back at me from the cracked mirror. Green eyes, brown hair, the same face I see every day. But something is different. Something is wrong. The memory of the coffins is vivid, seared into my mind. The 7 bodies, the 7 versions of me, Torin's stricken face, the way the world dissolved into light. Was it a dream? It felt too real to be a dream. But if it was not a dream, then what was it? I dress quickly, my hands fumbling with the laces of my dress. When I step into the corridor, everything looks the same. Servants shuffle past, carrying baskets of laundry and trays of food. The castle is waking, beginning its daily routine, just as it always does. But I know something has changed. I feel it in my bones, in the way my skin prickles with awareness, in the strange sense of déjà vu that clings to every step I take. I have been here before. I have done this before. And somehow, impossibly, I am about to do it all again. Chapter 4. Echoes of yesterday. The sensation of waking up to the same morning is overwhelming. I know this day. I have lived it before. The roosters crowing. The chill in my small room. The way the light filters through the threadbare curtain. But this time I remember. Not clearly, not completely, but fragments cling to my mind like cobwebs I cannot brush away. 7 coffins. 7 bodies wearing my face. Torin's expression of grief and terror. The world dissolving into blinding light. My hands tremble as I dress. And when I catch sight of myself in the cracked mirror, I stop. I look exactly the same as I did yesterday. Or was it yesterday? Time feels slippery, unreliable. And the more I try to grasp what happened, the more it seems to slip through my fingers like water. The mark on my hand is small again, just beginning to form. I stare at it, willing myself to remember. It spread. I know it spread. Up my arm, across my skin, dark shadows that consumed me inch by inch. But now it is back to its starting point, as if those weeks or months never happened. I make my way to the kitchens in a daze. Everything unfolds exactly as it did before. Cook barks orders. The other servants rush about. And then Cook tells me to take the king's breakfast to his chambers, just as she did the last time. Except this time, I know what will happen. I know he will stare at me with that look of painful recognition. I know he will ask my name and tell me to be careful where I walk in the castle. When I enter his chambers and our eyes meet, the force of it nearly knocks me backward, because I see it now, what I missed before. He is not just looking at me. He is searching my face for something. Recognition. Memory. Understanding. You are new, he says. The same words as before. But I am not. Or I am, but I was not. And the paradox makes my head spin. No, Your Majesty, I reply, keeping my voice steady. I have worked in the kitchens for many years. The rest of the conversation plays out as it did before. But this time, when he tells me to be careful where I walk, I hold his gaze a moment longer. Why should I be careful, Your Majesty? His jaw tightens. Because not all places are safe. And which places are those? Something flickers in his eyes. Surprise, perhaps, that I am pressing him. The East Wing. Stay away from the East Wing. I want to tell him that I have already been there, that I have seen what he is hiding. But the words stick in my throat, and I simply curtsy and leave. Over the following days, I test the boundaries of what I remember. Small things at first. I predict when Cook will yell at one of the kitchen girls for burning bread. I know which nobles will arrive at the castle before their horses appear on the road. I even know what Jaslyn will say before she says it. But the memories are not perfect. They fade at the edges, becoming hazy and uncertain. And there are gaps. Moments I cannot recall no matter how hard I try. It is as if I am living in two timelines at once, and neither feels entirely real. The strangest part is that no one else seems to notice. Jaslyn acts as if our conversations from before never happened. Hadrian does not remember warning me away from the East Wing. Even Torin, despite his obvious recognition of me, gives no indication that we have met like this before. But that cannot be right. He knows something. The way he looks at me proves it. One evening, I return to the library. The elderly Master Benton barely glances at me as I slip inside, just as he did before. But this time, I know exactly where to find the fragment about Morgath. I go straight to the history of the royal bloodline and pull it from the shelf. The loose page falls out, and I catch it before it hits the floor. The Curse of Morgath, I read again. The words familiar now, but no less chilling. 50 years passed. The witch was executed for her crimes, but not before she condemned the royal line to suffer. I fold the page and tuck it into my pocket, then begin searching for more. I spend hours poring over records, journals, and forgotten manuscripts. And this time I find things I missed before. A ledger from 50 years ago that mentions Morgath's execution and the curse she spoke before dying. A servant's diary that describes strange occurrences in the castle. The king acting distant and haunted, speaking to empty air as if someone is there, keeping the East Wing locked for reasons no one understands. Some whisper that the king tried to seal those doors, bricking them up, burning what lay beyond, but each attempt was mysteriously undone by morning. The stonework restored as if nothing had ever been touched. The curse does not permit that wing to stay buried. The king grieves for a Luna no one has ever seen, the servant wrote in shaky handwriting. He speaks of her as if she lives, though no woman sits beside him on the throne. He wanders the corridors at night, calling a name that none of us recognize. There is a darkness in this castle that we do not understand. May the gods have mercy on him. The entry makes my blood run cold. The servant did not understand what they were witnessing, but I think I do. They saw the aftermath of something terrible. The king grieving alone while everyone else remained ignorant. I find another journal, this one written by a healer who served in the castle decades ago. The Alpha King refuses all attempts at courtship, she wrote. He claims his heart belongs to another, though he will not speak her name. His advisors grow concerned. Without a Luna, without heirs, the kingdom's future is uncertain. But he will not be swayed. It is as if he is waiting for someone who will never come. Except she did come. I came. Again and again. If my fragmentary memories are to be believed. I pull out a grimoire from the darkest corner of the library, wrapped in oilcloth and hidden beneath stacks of forgotten ledgers. The pages are brittle with age, and the ink has faded, but I can still make out sections about curses and temporal magic. Time is a river, one passage reads. It flows in one direction for most, but powerful magic can create eddies and whirlpools where moments repeat endlessly. Those trapped in such loops are condemned to live the same span of time until the conditions of their imprisonment are met. My heart races as I read further. A curse born of vengeance can only be broken by choice freely made, not by force, not by obligation, but by the willing surrender of that which is most precious. What does that mean? What must be surrendered? I spend every spare moment in the library over the following days, piecing together what I can. I learn that Morgath was accused of sacrificing children in dark rituals, seeking immortality through blood magic. When she was captured and sentenced to death, she cursed the king and his Luna with her dying breath. But what exactly did she curse them with? No record gives me the full answer. It is as if someone deliberately destroyed or removed those details. One afternoon, as I am bent over yet another journal, Hadrian finds me. He slides into the seat across from me, his expression serious. "You have been spending considerable time here," he observes quietly. I close the journal carefully. "Is that forbidden?" "No." He studies me with those sharp brown eyes. "But I wonder what you are searching for." "Knowledge," I say, which is not a lie. "I want to understand the history of this castle, of the royal line. And have you found what you seek?" I hesitate, then decide to take a risk. I found references to a curse, to Morgath. His expression does not change, but his hands tighten on the table. "That is dangerous knowledge, Evora." "Why?" "She died 50 years ago. What harm can old history do?" "More than you realize." He leans forward, his voice dropping. "Some things are buried for good reason. Some truths bring only pain. But if the truth could help someone..." "It cannot." His tone is firm, almost desperate. "Trust me on this. Whatever you think you will find in these old books, it will not change anything. It will only make things worse." "How do you know?" He opens his mouth as if to respond, then closes it again. After a moment, he stands. "Just be careful, Evora. For your own sake." He leaves before I can ask what he means, and I am left staring after him, more confused than ever. That night, I cannot sleep. My mind churns with questions, with fragments of memory that refuse to coalesce into anything coherent. Finally, I give up and slip out of my room, wandering the corridors in the darkness. My feet carry me, unbidden, toward the east wing, toward that iron door with its strange symbols. I should not go there. I know I should not, but something pulls me forward, a compulsion I cannot resist. When I reach the door, I hesitate. The last time I opened it, everything changed. The world dissolved and reset, but I need to understand. I need to know if the coffins are real, or just a fragment of a nightmare. My hand reaches for the symbols, and just like before, my fingers move of their own accord, tracing the pattern with eerie precision. The door clicks, the lock disengages, and then a hand closes over mine, stopping me. I spin around to find Torrin standing behind me, his face pale in the torchlight. His blue eyes are wide with something between fear and resignation. "Please," he says quietly, "do not open that door." "Why not?" "Because once you see what is inside, once you confront me with it, everything will start over. We will lose all the progress we have made." "Progress?" I stare at him. "What progress?" "I do not even understand what is happening." "I know." His hand is still on mine, warm and steady, and I wish I could explain, but the rules of this curse are cruel. If I tell you the truth outright, it resets. If you discover the truth and confront me with it, it resets. We are trapped in an impossible situation. Then what am I supposed to do? My voice breaks. Just accept that I am living the same days over and over without understanding why? No. He releases my hand and steps back, running his fingers through his dark hair. You investigate. You learn, but you do not confront me directly. And you do not open that door, because what lies beyond it will force your hand. The coffins. I whisper. They are real, are they not? His expression confirms it before he speaks. Yes. And they all have my name on them. Yes. How many? 7. The word is heavy with grief. 7 times I have failed you. 7 times you have died because I could not find a way to break this curse. My legs feel weak, and I lean against the stone wall for support. So it is true. Everything I remember. The mark spreading on my hand. The darkness consuming me. It all happened, and it will happen again. He says softly, unless we find a way to stop it. How much time do I have? I do not know. It varies. Sometimes months. Sometimes only weeks. He looks at me with such anguish that my heart aches. But it always ends the same way, with my death. Yes. I close my eyes, trying to process this. When I open them again, Torin is watching me with an expression that holds both hope and despair. What if I could find a way? I ask. What if I could discover how to break the curse without triggering a reset? I have been trying for decades, Evora. I have exhausted every possibility I can think of, but you have been trying alone. I straighten, resolve hardening inside me. This time you have me, and even if I cannot remember everything, I can learn. I can search for answers you might have missed. You would do that? Even knowing how it ends? Especially knowing how it ends. I reach out and take his hand, because I refuse to accept that we are doomed to repeat this forever. There has to be a way out. We just have not found it yet. For the first time since I saw him in this strange new old life, Torin smiles. It is small and sad, but genuine. You have always been stubborn. Good. Then you know I mean what I say. He pulls me into his arms, holding me tightly, and I let myself lean into his warmth. I have missed you. He murmurs against my hair. Every time you come back, I miss the person you become. The person who remembers, even if only in fragments. Then help me remember more. Tell me what you can without breaking the rules. I will try. He pulls back slightly to look at me. But you must promise me something in return. What? Promise me you will not give up. No matter what you discover, no matter how dark things become. I meet his gaze steadily. I promise. And in that moment, standing in the shadowed corridor with his arms around me, I feel the weight of something shifting, as if the very fabric of the curse is taking notice of our defiance. We may be trapped in this cycle, but we are not helpless. And together, we will find a way to break free, or die trying. Chapter 5. Shadows Spreading. The weeks that follow. Torin's confession are different from anything I have experienced before. We exist in a strange state of awareness. Him with his full memories of countless cycles. Me with my fragmentary recollections that grow clearer each day. We move through the castle like conspirators, stealing moments together while I continue my research in secret. The library becomes my sanctuary. I arrive early in the mornings, before my duties begin, and return late at night when the other servants are asleep. Master Benton has stopped questioning my presence, merely nodding when I slip past his desk toward the ancient texts in the back. I find Morgath's grimoire again, the one I discovered before the world reset. This time I study it more carefully, taking notes and copying passages onto scraps of parchment that I hide beneath the floorboards in my room. The text is difficult to decipher, written in an archaic dialect and filled with references to magical concepts I barely understand, but I persist. A curse born of vengeance requires a sacrifice born of love. I read one evening, my candle burning low. Not the sacrifice of death, which is easy, but the sacrifice of choice. The cursed must choose freely what they fear most to lose. I lean back in my chair, rubbing my tired eyes. What does that mean? Choose to lose what we fear most? Torin fears losing me. I fear. What do I fear? The answer comes unbidden. I fear being nothing, powerless, forgotten. But how does choosing to lose that break a curse? The mark on my hand has been spreading steadily. It now covers my entire left hand and creeps up my forearm in dark, web-like patterns. I keep it hidden beneath long sleeves, but I know Torin sees it. I catch him staring at it sometimes when he thinks I am not looking, his expression haunted. One afternoon, as I am organizing scrolls in the library, Hadrian appears beside me so quietly that I jump. You have been avoiding me. he says without preamble. I have been busy. With your research. It is not a question. He picks up one of the scrolls I have been reading, his eyes scanning the text. Temporal magic. Curse breaking. You are looking for a way out. I snatch the scroll back. And if I am? Then you are wasting your time. His voice is not unkind, but it is firm. Do you think the king has not tried everything? He has consulted every scholar, every mage, every mystic in the realm. There is no solution. There has to be. Why? Because you want there to be? He sighs, running a hand through his blonde hair. I understand your determination, Ivara. Truly I do. But some fates cannot be changed. How do you know so much about this? I ask suddenly. About the curse. About what the king has tried. Hadrian's expression shifts, becoming guarded. Because I have served him for many years. Because I have watched him suffer. But you do not remember the loops. No. He looks away. But he has told me about them. In this cycle, as he has in others. I may not remember, but I know the burden he carries. There is something in his tone, a weight of old grief, that makes me wonder. Have you been his beta through all of this? Through all the cycles? Some of them. His jaw tightens. Though I do not remember the previous ones. He tells me I have stood beside him through at least 3 cycles. Perhaps more. That must be difficult. Knowing you have lived through this before but having no memory of it. It is. He meets my eyes. Which is why I am telling you this now. Be careful, Ivora. The closer you get to understanding the curse, the more dangerous it becomes. Not just for you, but for him. What do you mean? But Hadrian shakes his head. I have said too much already. Just be careful. He leaves me standing among the scrolls, my mind racing with new questions. That evening, Torrin summons me to his chambers. When I arrive, I find him pacing by the window, his movements agitated. The moment the door closes behind me, he crosses to me and pulls me into his arms, holding me so tightly I can barely breathe. Torrin, what is wrong? The marks, he says against my hair. They are spreading faster this time. I pull back enough to look at him. How do you know? Because I have watched this happen 7 times before. I know the progression. And this time, it is accelerating. His blue eyes are dark with fear. We may have less time than I thought. My stomach clenches. How much less? Weeks, perhaps. A month at most. I swallow hard, forcing down the panic that threatens to rise. Then we work faster. I am close to something in the grimoire. There are passages about willing sacrifice. I know. He cups my face in his hands. I have read those passages 100 times. But I cannot decipher what they mean. Then we decipher them together. I cover his hands with mine. You are not alone in this anymore, Torrin. Let me help. He rests his forehead against mine, his breath shaky. I do not deserve you. You have me anyway. We spend the next hour poring over my notes, comparing them to Torrin's memories of previous research. He tells me about scholars he consulted in earlier cycles, about theories they proposed and experiments they tried. None of them worked, but hearing about them gives me new directions to explore, new questions to ask. There was one scholar, Torrin says, his finger tracing a line in the grimoire, who suggested that Morgoth's curse might require a reversal of the original sin. She was executed for sacrificing children, innocents, to gain power. Perhaps the curse can only be broken by sacrificing power to save an innocent. But you are the Alpha King. Your power protects the entire realm. Sacrificing it would put everyone at risk. I know. His expression is bleak, which is why I never pursued that path. I cannot condemn thousands to save one person, even if that person is you. I would not want you to. I squeeze his hand. There has to be another way. Late that night, unable to sleep, I return to the library one more time. I am searching for something specific now. Any reference to reversal magic, to undoing curses through symbolic acts. The candle I brought casts flickering shadows across the shelves as I move deeper into the oldest section of the library. And then I find it. A thin journal tucked behind a row of ledgers, its leather cover cracked with age. The pages inside are filled with tight, cramped handwriting that takes effort to read. I have been studying the nature of Morgath's magic. The entry begins. It is dated 47 years ago, 3 years after her execution. The curse she placed upon the king and his Luna is not a simple hex. It is a temporal binding, a loop that feeds on itself. Each death strengthens the curse, making it harder to break. But I believe I have found the key. My heart races as I read on. The curse requires 2 conditions to be met simultaneously. The cursed must choose to sacrifice what they value most, and that choice must be made freely, without coercion from the curse itself. But here is the paradox. The curse is designed to prevent that choice from ever being made. It resets whenever the truth is revealed too directly, whenever confrontation forces the issue. The only way to break it is for both parties to arrive at the choice independently, to surrender their greatest fear without being told they must. I read the passage 3 times, my mind working frantically to understand. Choose independently. Surrender our greatest fear. Without being told we must. What is my greatest fear? What is Torrhen's? I am still pondering this when I hear a sound behind me. I turn to find Jaslyn standing in the doorway, her red curls disheveled from sleep. Evora, what are you doing here so late? I quickly close the journal. Just reading. I could not sleep. She moves closer, her amber eyes concerned. You have been acting strange for weeks. Ever since you started serving the king. Are you all right? I am fine. You are not fine. She sits down across from me, her expression unusually serious. You barely sleep. You spend all your time in here or in the king's chambers. And you look... She hesitates. You look haunted. I want to tell her. I want to share the burden of what I know. But I cannot. Jaslyn is not part of this curse. She does not remember the loops. And dragging her into this darkness would be cruel. I am just tired. I lie. The king is demanding. That is all. She does not look convinced, but she does not press further. If you need to talk, I am here. You know that, right? I know. Thank you. After she leaves, I return to the journal. I read until the candle burns down to nothing, until the sky outside begins to lighten with dawn. And slowly, pieces of understanding begin to fall into place. The next day, as I am working in the kitchens, something happens that I have been dreading. I am chopping vegetables when my hand suddenly spasms. The knife slips, cutting deep into my palm. Blood wells up, dark and thick, and I stare at it in shock. But it is not the blood that terrifies me. It is the fact that my hand moved on its own, as if something else controlled it. Cook rushes over, wrapping my hand in cloth. Clumsy girl, she scolds. But there is concern in her eyes. Go see the healer before you bleed all over my kitchen. I stumble toward the infirmary, cradling my hand, but I do not go inside. Instead, I find a quiet corner and unwrap the cloth, staring at the wound. Around the edges of the cut, the dark marks have spread further. They are not just on my skin anymore. They are in my blood. That evening, when I show Torrhen, his face goes white. It is happening faster than ever before, he whispers. The corruption is taking hold. How long do I have? Days, perhaps a week. I nod, forcing myself to stay calm even as terror claws at my insides. Then we have to act now. I think I understand what the grimoire was trying to tell us. About choice. About sacrifice. Evora, listen to me. I grip his arms. The curse feeds on coercion. It resets when we are forced into choices by circumstance. But what if we make the choice before we are forced? What if we choose freely, before the curse demands it? His eyes widen. What are you saying? I am saying that maybe the way to break this is not to fight the curse, but to fulfill its requirements on our own terms, to choose what it would force us to choose anyway, but to do it freely, out of love, not fear. You want to choose to die. No, I shake my head. I want to choose to sacrifice what I fear losing most, and so do you. But we cannot be forced into it. We have to arrive at it ourselves. He stares at me for a long moment. Then, slowly, understanding begins to dawn in his eyes. If this works, we break the curse. I lean into him, feeling his arms come around me. And if it does not, at least we tried something new. I cannot lose you again. You have already lost me 7 times. I pull back to look at him. This time, let us choose how it ends. And in the dim light of his chambers, with the shadows of the curse closing in around us, we begin to plan our gamble against fate itself. Chapter 6. 4 years of borrowed time. 4 years pass in this cycle. 4 years that feel both impossibly long and heartbreakingly short. In the beginning, Torin and I are cautious. We move through the castle like players on a stage, careful not to trigger the reset that has stolen so many of our previous attempts. I continue my duties in the kitchens and his chambers. He continues ruling the kingdom with the weight of decades of repeated history on his shoulders. To everyone else, we are simply king and servant. But in private, we are so much more. The first year is spent learning. I memorize every passage in Morgath's grimoire, every fragment of curse-breaking magic I can find. Torin shares with me the knowledge he has accumulated over 7 cycles, the desperate bargains, the failed rituals, the years he tried simply keeping me away from the vault, even the time he sent me beyond his borders only for the mark, and the reset that followed my death, to find me anyway, telling me about failed attempts and near misses. We compare notes like scholars, searching for the pattern we have been missing, but we are also learning each other. Not the rushed, desperate version of love born from knowing time is short, but something deeper. Torin tells me stories about his childhood, about the weight of becoming Alpha King at 23 when his father died. I tell him about growing up without parents, about the loneliness of being wolfless in a castle full of shifters. I used to watch the other children shift for the first time. I confess one evening as we sit by the fire in his chambers. They would run through the forests in their wolf forms, howling at the moon, and I would pretend I was with them, but I was always here, always human, always different. He pulls me closer, his arms warm around me. You are not different. You are perfect exactly as you are. You have to say that. You are in love with me. I am in love with you because it is true. He tilts my chin up to meet his eyes. Do you know what I see when I look at you? I see someone who has faced death 7 times and come back fighting every time, even without memory of what came before. I see someone who hunts for answers in dusty books when most would give up. I see strength that has nothing to do with shifting and everything to do with heart. I kiss him then, pouring into it all the words I cannot yet say, because saying I love you feels too much like an ending, and I am not ready for endings yet. The second year brings changes. The mark on my hand, which had been spreading steadily, seems to slow, not stop, but slow. The dark shadows still creep up my arm, but at a pace that gives us hope. Perhaps this cycle truly is different. Perhaps our careful approach is working. Torin begins teaching me things that only Aluna would know, not because I ask, but because he wants me to understand his world. He shows me how the pack hierarchies work, how disputes between alphas are settled, how the kingdom is governed. He takes me riding through the forests, showing me the boundaries of his territory. In another life, he says one afternoon as we pause by a stream, you would have ruled beside me. You would have been my Luna, my queen, my equal in all things. I am wolfless, I remind him. I could never be Luna. You already are. He reaches for my hand, threading his fingers through mine. In every way that matters, you already are. The third year is when I begin to notice the dreams. Not nightmares this time, but something else. Fragmented images that feel almost like memories, though I cannot place them. I see myself running through these same forests in a wolf form I do not possess. I see Torin younger, his face unlined by grief, laughing as he chases me. I see a wedding ceremony, my hand in his, vows spoken under a full moon. I tell him about them, and his expression grows distant. Those are memories from previous cycles, he says quietly. Echoes of lives you have lived before. They sometimes bleed through near the end. The end. I swallow hard. The mark has spread past my elbow now. I know. How much time do we have left? Months, perhaps. Maybe a year. He pulls me into his arms, his face buried in my hair. I am sorry. I thought this time would be different. I thought if we were careful, if we did not push too hard, we still have time. I hold him tightly. And we know more now than we did before. We will find the answer. I know we will, but doubt has begun to creep in. After 3 years of research, of careful experimentation, we are no closer to understanding how to break the curse than we were at the start. The pattern remains elusive, just out of reach. The 4th year brings a turning point. Hadrian finds me in the library one afternoon, his expression grave. He sits down across from me without asking permission, his brown eyes searching my face. "You love him," he says. It is not a question. I consider lying, but what would be the point? Yes. And he loves you. Yes. Hadrian leans back in his chair, running a hand through his blonde hair. I have watched him through 3 cycles now. Or so he tells me, since I do not remember the others. But this time is different. This time, he is not just fighting to save you. He is living. Truly living. For the first time in what must be decades. What are you saying? I am saying that whatever you are doing, it is working. Not to break the curse, perhaps, but to give him something worth fighting for beyond duty. He meets my eyes. Do not give up. Even if the curse cannot be broken. Even if you only have a short time left. Do not give up on each other. We will not. Good. He stands to leave, then pauses. For what it is worth, I think you would have made an excellent Luna, wolfless or not. After he leaves, I sit for a long time, staring at the book spread before me, and slowly, something begins to shift in my understanding. Perhaps we have been looking at this wrong. Perhaps the answer is not in the magic itself, but in what the magic demands. That evening, I go to Torrens' chambers earlier than usual. He is standing by the window, as he so often is, staring out at the forest. But when I enter, he turns, and the smile that spreads across his face is worth everything. "You are early," he says, crossing to me. Not that I am complaining. I have been thinking about the curse, about what Morgath demanded. His expression grows serious. What about it? We have been trying to break it through knowledge, through understanding the magic. But what if that is not what is required? What if the curse is not about magic at all, but about choice? What do you mean? I take his hands in mine. Morgath said we must learn the true meaning of sacrifice. She cursed you for executing her, for choosing duty over mercy. What if the way to break the curse is not to outsmart it, but to make the opposite choice? To choose love over duty, even knowing the cost. His jaw tightens. I have tried that. In the 2nd cycle, I refused to kill you. I let the corruption consume you, thinking that if I just held on, if I just loved you enough. He breaks off, pain etching deep lines in his face. You destroyed half the kingdom before the curse reset. Thousands died, and when time rewound, they were alive again. But the memory of their deaths remains with me. That was not a choice. I say softly, that was inaction born of desperation. But what if you chose actively? What if we both did? I do not understand. Neither do I. Not fully. I step closer, resting my forehead against his chest. But I think we need to stop fighting the curse and start fulfilling it on our own terms. We need to figure out what we truly fear losing and choose to surrender it freely, not because the curse forces us to, but because we decide it is worth sacrificing. He is quiet for a long time. Then, slowly, his arms come around me. What do you fear losing, Evora? Control. The illusion that I can save us through research and cleverness. I look up at him. What do you fear losing? You. The word is simple. Absolute. I fear losing you more than I fear anything else in this world or any other. Then perhaps that is what must be sacrificed. Your fear. My need for control. We stop trying to prevent the inevitable, and instead choose how to meet it. You are talking about dying. I am talking about choosing freely what the curse would force anyway. About arriving at the choice independently, without coercion. Exactly as the grimoire said. I cup his face in my hands. But I cannot do it alone. We have to make this choice together. Or it will not work. The firelight casts shadows across his features, highlighting the silver threads that have begun appearing in his dark hair. 4 years together have aged him, but in this moment, he looks younger than I have ever seen him. Hopeful. If we do this, he says slowly, if we make this choice and it does not work, then we will have chosen to face the end together, on our own terms. And that is more than we have had in any other cycle. He kisses me then, deep and desperate and full of everything words cannot contain. When we finally break apart, both of us are trembling. I need time, he says. Time to think about what you are proposing. Time to be sure. We have time. I smile, though my heart is racing. Not much, but some. Over the following weeks, I watch Torin wrestle with the decision. I see it in the way he looks at me, in the careful attention he pays to every moment we share. He is memorizing, I realize, storing up memories against the possibility that this choice might be our last. The marks have spread to my shoulder now. Sometimes, late at night, I feel the darkness stirring inside me, whispering promises of power and destruction. It is getting harder to ignore, harder to push down. One evening, as we sit together by the fire, I feel my control slip. For just a moment, my eyes go black, and I feel the urge to lash out, to hurt something. Torin sees it, and before I can stop myself, my hand shoots out toward his throat. But I catch myself, just barely. I catch myself and pull back, gasping. It is getting stronger, I whisper, staring at my hands in horror. I know. He pulls me close, and I can feel his heart racing against my ear. I know. We do not have much time left. No, he agrees. We do not. The next morning, I seek out Jaslyn. I have been avoiding her for months, guilty that I cannot share the truth of what is happening. But I need to see her one more time, just in case. I find her in the kitchens, kneading bread. When she sees me, her face lights up with a smile that makes my chest ache. Evora, where have you been? I feel like I barely see you anymore. I know. I am sorry. I sit down across from her, watching her work. I wanted to tell you that you are a good friend. The best friend I have ever had. She stops kneading, her amber eyes growing concerned. That sounds like a goodbye. Not goodbye, just thank you. For being kind to me when others were not. For treating me like I mattered. You do matter. She wipes flour from her hands and reaches across to squeeze mine. Evora, whatever is happening, whatever you are dealing with, you can tell me. Let me help. You cannot help with this. I wish you could, but you cannot. Then at least promise me you will be careful. I promise. When I leave the kitchens, my eyes are burning with unshed tears, but I do not let them fall. Not yet. That night, Torin and I make our choice. Not the final one. Not yet. But the one that comes before it. We choose to stop running. To stop fighting. To accept that our time is limited and make peace with what must come. And for the first time in 4 years, I sleep without nightmares. Chapter 7. The Last Weeks. The 5th year arrives with the weight of finality hanging over us like a shroud. The dark marks have spread across my entire body now, covering my arms, my shoulders, creeping up my neck toward my face. When I look in the mirror, I barely recognize myself. The shadows beneath my skin pulse with a life of their own, and sometimes I catch glimpses of something moving beneath the surface. Something that is not me, or perhaps it is me. The part of me that Morgath's curse has been cultivating all along. The nightmares have become constant. I can no longer distinguish between sleeping and waking, between memory and hallucination. I see villages burning. I see people screaming. I see myself standing in the midst of destruction, laughing with a voice that is not my own. And worst of all, I see Torin holding a blade, his face wet with tears, as he prepares to end it all. I wake from these visions gasping, my body drenched in sweat. Torin is always there, holding me, whispering reassurances that we both know are lies. We are running out of time, and we both feel it. 3 weeks before the end. Though we do not know it is exactly 3 weeks, only that it is soon. I lose control for the first time. I am in the kitchens, helping cook prepare the evening meal. My hands are steady as I chop vegetables, my movements mechanical. And then, without warning, something inside me shifts. The darkness surges upward, flooding my vision, and suddenly I am somewhere else. Someone else. I see Cook not as a person, but as prey. Weak, vulnerable, delicious. The knife in my hand changes direction, swinging toward her throat. But at the last second, I wrench control back. The blade embeds itself in the wooden counter instead, missing Cook by inches. She stumbles backward with a shriek, her eyes wide with terror. "What in the gods' names? I am sorry," I gasp, staggering back. My hands are shaking, and when I look down, I see my eyes reflected in the blade. They are completely black. "I am so sorry." I run from the kitchen before anyone can stop me, my heart hammering in my chest. I make it to my room and collapse on the floor, wrapping my arms around myself as I try to force the darkness back down. It takes nearly an hour before I feel like myself again. Torrin finds me there, curled in a ball, silent tears streaming down my face. "It is happening," I whisper. "I almost killed her. I know." He gathers me into his arms, holding me so tightly it almost hurts. "I know, love. I know. How much time do I have left?" "Not much." His voice cracks. "Days. Maybe a week." I close my eyes, letting the truth of it wash over me. After 4 years of borrowed time, we have finally reached the end. "We need to make our choice," I say, before I lose myself completely. Before the curse forces it. "Are you certain?" I pull back to look at him. "Are you?" His jaw tightens, and for a long moment he says nothing. Then, slowly, he nods. "Yes, I am certain." "Then we do it tomorrow night. In the place where this all began. The vault." "The vault," I confirm. "Where the 7 coffins wait." That evening, I seek out Jaslyn one last time. I find her in the servants' quarters, mending a torn apron by candlelight. When she sees me, her face breaks into a smile that quickly fades when she notices my expression. "Evora, what is wrong?" I sit down beside her, taking her hands in mine. The marks have crept onto my fingers now, dark tendrils that she cannot help but notice. Her eyes widen. "What happened to you?" "Something I cannot explain." I squeeze her hands. "But I need you to know that you have been the best friend I could have asked for. You made me feel less alone in this place. You made me feel like I mattered. You are scaring me. I know, and I am sorry for that." I lean forward and hug her tightly, breathing in the familiar scent of flower and lavender that always clings to her. "But I need you to remember something. No matter what happens, no matter what you might hear about me in the coming days, know that I cared about you, that I valued your friendship more than you will ever know." When I pull back, tears are streaming down her face. "You are saying goodbye." "Yes." "Why? Where are you going?" "I cannot tell you that, but I can tell you that it is my choice. Whatever happens, it is my choice." I leave before she can ask more questions, before I can break down and tell her everything. Some burdens are too heavy to share, and this is one of them. That night, Torrin and I do not sleep. We lie together in his bed, memorizing the feel of each other, the sound of our breathing, the warmth of skin against skin. We do not make love. That seems too final, too much like accepting defeat. Instead, we simply exist together, holding on to these last peaceful hours. "Tell me a story," I whisper as dawn begins to creep through the windows. "Tell me about the first time you saw me, in the very first cycle." He is quiet for a moment, his fingers tracing patterns on my back. Then he begins to speak, his voice soft and distant with memory. "You were 17. So young, so full of fire and determination. You had just been selected to serve in the royal household, and you walked into the throne room with your head held high, refusing to be intimidated by any of us. I took one look at you and knew my life would never be the same." Was I wolfless then too? No. His arms tighten around me. "In the first cycle, you shifted. You had a beautiful white wolf, rare and powerful. But Morgath's curse took that from you. Each time you die and return, you come back with less. Less memory, less power. Less of yourself. So I am fading." "No." He tilts my chin up to meet his eyes. "You are different, but you are not less. In some ways, you are stronger now than you ever were with a wolf. You fight with intelligence and determination rather than brute strength. You question where others simply obey. You are magnificent, Evora. In every form, in every cycle, you are magnificent. I kiss him then, pouring everything I feel into it. Love and gratitude and sorrow and hope all tangled together. When we finally break apart, the sun has fully risen. It is time, he says. I nod, my throat too tight to speak. We dress in silence, both of us moving with the careful precision of people preparing for battle. Torin buckles on his sword belt, though I know he will not use the blade for fighting. I wrap a cloak around myself to hide the marks that now cover nearly every inch of my skin. Before we leave his chambers, I take one last look around. 4 years of memories fill this room. 4 years of laughter and tears, of plans and hopes, of stolen moments of happiness in the midst of our cursed existence. I commit every detail to memory, knowing I will never see it again. We walk through the castle in the early morning light, passing servants who are just beginning their daily routines. A few of them glance at us curiously. It is unusual to see the king and a servant walking together so openly, but no one dares to question us. When we reach the eastern wing, the iron door stands before us like a portal to another world. The symbols carved into its surface seem to pulse with malevolent energy, as if they know what we are about to do. Torin places his hand over mine on the door. Last chance to change your mind. No changing, I say firmly. We see this through. Together, our hands trace the symbols. The door clicks open, revealing the dark staircase that spirals down into the earth. As we descend, the temperature drops. The air grows thick and heavy, pressing against my skin. With each step, I feel the darkness inside me stirring, responding to the presence of the coffins below. It knows where we are going. It knows what awaits. When we reach the chamber, the 7 coffins sit exactly as they did before, silent, waiting, judging. I walk to the center of the circle they form, and Torin follows. For a long moment, we simply stand there, surrounded by the physical evidence of 7 failed cycles. Do you remember what we discussed? I ask quietly. Yes. He draws his sword, the blade catching the dim light of the magical torches that line the walls. You will choose to surrender to the transformation, to stop fighting the darkness, and I will choose to let you go, to refuse to kill you even knowing what it means. And we do it freely. Not because the curse forces us, but because we decide it is worth the risk, even if it means the kingdom falls. Even then, I turn to face him, reaching up to cup his face in my marked hands. Because Morgath was wrong about one thing. Sacrifice is not about choosing duty over love, or love over duty. It is about choosing freely, without fear, even when the cost is everything. His eyes glisten with unshed tears. I love you, Evora. In every cycle, in every life, I will always love you. And I love you, Torin. Even if I forget again, even if time resets and steals my memories, some part of me will always love you. We kiss one more time, gentle and bittersweet. Then I step back and close my eyes. I am ready, I whisper, and I let go. The darkness rushes up to claim me, no longer held back by my will. It floods through my body, transforming me from the inside out. I feel my bones shifting, my muscles twisting, but not into a wolf, into something else. Something ancient and terrible that Morgath created with her dying curse. I open my eyes, and they are black as pitch. Power surges through me, intoxicating and terrible. I could destroy everything in this castle. I could raise the kingdom to ash, but I chose this. I chose to let it in, and that choice, freely made, changes everything. Across from me, Torin stands with his sword in hand. His face is anguished, his whole body trembling. Every instinct he possesses must be screaming at him to strike, to end this before I can become fully monstrous. But he does not move. Do it, I hear myself say, though the voice is not quite mine anymore. It is layered, echoing, as if the darkness speaks through me. Kill me. Save them all. No, he says, and his voice breaks. Not this time. This time I choose you, even if it means watching the world burn. Even if it costs me everything. I choose you. He drops the sword. It clatters to the stone floor. the sound echoing through the chamber. And then something impossible happens. The darkness inside me stutters, hesitates. For the first time in 7 cycles, it encounters something it did not expect. Refusal. Not the refusal born of fear or desperation, but the refusal born of love. Torin has chosen me freely, knowing the cost, and I have chosen to transform freely, accepting what I would become. Neither of us did what the curse demanded. Neither of us let fear control our choice. The marks on my skin begin to glow, not with darkness, but with light, brilliant, searing light that burns away the shadows from the inside out. I scream, falling to my knees as the corruption tears itself free, ripping out of me in black wisps that dissolve into nothing. Torin catches me before I hit the ground, cradling me against his chest. Around us, the 7 coffins begin to crack, fissures spreading across their stone surfaces. Light pours from the cracks, growing brighter and brighter until I have to close my eyes against the brilliance. And then, silence. When I open my eyes again, the coffins are gone, turned to dust that drifts away on a wind that should not exist underground. The chamber is empty except for us. Evora, Torin's voice is hoarse, disbelieving. Evora, are you? I am here, I whisper. I am still here. We cling to each other on the cold stone floor, both of us shaking, both of us afraid to believe that it might actually be over. But the marks are gone. My skin is clear. And for the first time in 50 years, Torin weeps not from grief, but from hope. Chapter 8. Freedom's Dawn. We remain in the vault for what feels like hours, but might only be minutes. Time itself feels uncertain, as if the breaking of the curse has fractured something fundamental about how we experience the world. Torin holds me against his chest, his fingers tangled in my hair, his breath ragged against my temple. Is it real? I finally whisper. Is it truly over? I do not know. His voice is hoarse. Every time before, when we thought we had found a way, the curse simply reset. But this time, he pulls back to look at me, his blue eyes searching my face. This time feels different. I touch my arm where the marks used to be, half expecting to feel the corruption still lurking beneath the surface. But my skin is smooth and clear, unblemished except for the small scar I got as a child. The darkness is gone, completely gone. We should leave this place, Torin says, glancing around the empty chamber. If the curse is truly broken, we need to know what that means for the world above. He helps me to my feet, and together we climb the spiral staircase. My legs shake with exhaustion. The transformation and subsequent cleansing have left me feeling hollowed out, as fragile as glass. But I force myself to keep moving, one step at a time. When we emerge into the corridor of the east wing, sunlight streams through the narrow windows. It is still morning, the same morning we descended. But everything feels changed, as if we have returned from a much longer journey. We make our way through the castle slowly, and I become aware of eyes following us. Servants pause in their work to stare. Guards exchange confused glances. Word must have spread about my attack in the kitchen, about the marks on my skin, about something being wrong with the servant girl who spends too much time with the king. Let them stare. I am beyond caring what anyone thinks. Hadrian finds us in the corridor outside Torin's chambers. He takes one look at us, disheveled, exhausted, but somehow different. An understanding dawns in his eyes. It is over, he says. Not a question. A statement of fact. We think so, Torin replies. The coffins are destroyed. The marks are gone. But we cannot be certain until time proves it, Hadrian finishes. He looks at me, and for the first time since I have known him, he smiles. You did it. I do not know how, but you did it. We did it, I correct. Together, Hadrian nods. Then his expression grows serious. There will be questions. The nobles, the council, they will demand explanations for everything. For the servant girl who has been living in the king's chambers, for the strange occurrences in the castle, for the fact that you have been unmarried for decades despite every pressure to take a Luna. Let them demand, Torin says, his arm tightening around my waist. I will give them their explanations when I am ready. But first, I need to rest. We both do. Hadrian bows his head. Of course, Your Majesty. I will keep everyone away for as long as I can. After he leaves, Torin leads me into his chambers and bolts the door behind us. For a long moment, we simply stand there, looking at each other. And then, as if a dam has burst, we both start laughing. Not the laughter of joy, but the wild, slightly unhinged laughter of people who have survived the impossible. We did it. I gasp between giggles. We actually did it. I cannot believe... Torin breaks off, shaking his head. 50 years. 50 years of being trapped in that nightmare. And you figured out the answer in one cycle. Not one cycle. 8. I reach up to touch his face, feeling the rough texture of his beard beneath my palm. It took 8 attempts, 8 lives to understand what Morgath was truly asking of us. Still, he captures my hand, pressing a kiss to my palm. You are extraordinary. We are extraordinary. Together, we collapse onto the bed, still fully clothed, and simply hold each other. The exhaustion is overwhelming, pulling at my consciousness like a tide. But I fight it, afraid that if I close my eyes, I will wake to find myself back in my small room. The curse reset once more. Sleep. Torin murmurs, as if reading my thoughts. I will be here when you wake. I promise. How can you be sure? Because for the first time in 50 years, I feel free. He pulls me closer, tucking my head beneath his chin. The weight I have been carrying. The certainty that I would fail you again. It is gone. Whatever tomorrow brings, we will face it together. No more secrets. No more cycles. Just us. I let his words wash over me. Let the steady rhythm of his heartbeat lull me into a sense of safety. And finally, I allow myself to sleep. I wake to twilight filtering through the windows and the smell of food. Torin is sitting at the small table, 2 plates laid out before him. When he sees me stir, his face breaks into a smile that makes him look years younger. You were sleeping so deeply. I did not have the heart to wake you, but you need to eat. I join him at the table, suddenly ravenous. As we eat, he tells me what has happened while I slept. Hadrian has been managing the castle in his absence, fending off questions from nobles and council members alike. Jaslyn has been asking for me, worried sick after our strange goodbye yesterday. Yesterday. Was it only yesterday? It feels like a lifetime ago. What do we do now? I ask, pushing my empty plate away. I am still a servant. You are still the Alpha King. The curse may be broken, but the world has not changed. Then we change it. Torin reaches across the table to take my hand. I am going to declare you my Luna. Officially, publicly, before the entire kingdom. My heart stutters, but I am wolfless. The nobility will never accept. I do not care what they accept. His grip tightens. You are mine, and I am yours. We have earned that through 8 lifetimes of suffering. If they cannot see your worth, then they are blind. It will cause problems. Let it cause problems. He stands, pulling me to my feet. Evora, I have spent 50 years afraid to truly live because I knew I would lose you. But we broke that curse. We defied fate itself. I'm not going to waste our freedom by playing it safe. I search his face, seeing the determination there. The fierce love that has survived decades of repeated loss. Are you certain? More certain than I have ever been of anything. Then yes. I rise onto my toes to kiss him. Yes. I will be your Luna, your queen, your mate, whatever title you wish to give me. I only wish to give you one title that matters, he murmurs against my lips. Mine. We spend the rest of the evening making plans. Torin will call a council meeting tomorrow to announce his intention to take me as his Luna. There will be resistance, certainly. Questions about my background, my lack of wolf, my suitability for the role. But Hadrian has already been preparing arguments in our defense, gathering support among the more progressive members of the nobility. What about Morgath's execution? I ask suddenly. If we are being truthful, should we not explain what really happened? Why you killed her? Torin's expression darkens. She was executed for child sacrifice and dark magic, both of which are true. But the curse, he pauses, considering. I think that secret dies with us. The world does not need to know about the loops. about the 7 times you died. That burden is ours alone to carry. I nod, understanding. Some truths are too heavy to share. That night, I returned to my small room in the servants' quarters for the last time. I need to gather my few belongings. But more than that, I need to say goodbye to this part of my life. This room has been my sanctuary for 20 years, the only home I have ever known. Jocelyn is waiting for me when I arrive. She leaps to her feet the moment I open the door, her amber eyes wide with relief and worry. Evora, where have you been? I have been so worried. She breaks off, taking in my appearance. I am wearing one of Torin's shirts, far too large for me, and my hair is loose around my shoulders. What happened to you? Everything, I say simply. Everything happened. I tell her what I can without revealing the full truth about the curse. I tell her that I have been suffering from a strange illness, one that the king helped me overcome. I tell her that in the process, we fell in love. I do not tell her about the loops, about the coffins, about the 8 lives I have lived and lost. You are in love with the Alpha King. She repeats slowly, as if testing the words. The Alpha King is in love with you. Yes. And you are going to be his Luna. Yes. She stares at me for a long moment. Then, incredibly, she grins. Well, it is about time someone shook up this stuffy castle. If anyone can handle being queen to a kingdom of wolves while having no wolf of your own, it is you. I laugh, feeling tears prick my eyes. You are not angry? Not shocked? Of course I am shocked, but angry? She pulls me into a fierce hug. Never. You deserve happiness, Evora. After all the years of working yourself to the bone, of being treated as less than because you cannot shift, you deserve someone who sees you for who you really are. Thank you, I whisper, for being my friend, for never making me feel small. Always, she promises. I gather my few belongings, a change of clothes, the pendant I have worn since childhood, a worn book of folk tales that belonged to my mother. It all fits in a small cloth bag. My entire life, reduced to a handful of objects. But as I take one last look around the room, I realize I am not sad. This room represents who I was. Tomorrow, I step into who I will become. The council meeting the next morning is everything I expected and worse. The nobles are outraged, scandalized, horrified. A wolfless servant as Luna? Preposterous. Unthinkable. An insult to their traditions. But Torin stands firm. And slowly, grudgingly, they begin to yield. Because he is the Alpha King, and his word is law. And because Hadrian has been very clever in his preparations, calling in favors, and making strategic promises to those whose support matters most. By the end of the day, it is decided. There will be a bonding ceremony in 1 month's time. I will become Luna, in the eyes of both the kingdom and the gods. The weeks that follow are a whirlwind. I am moved from the servants' quarters to the royal wing, given chambers that connect to Torin's. Seamstresses measure me for gowns. Tutors teach me the protocols and expectations of a Luna. Advisors brief me on the political landscape of the kingdom. It is overwhelming and exhausting and absolutely terrifying. But every night, Torin holds me and reminds me that I am not alone, that we faced an impossible curse and won, that managing a kingdom will be easy in comparison. I am not sure I believe him, but I appreciate the sentiment. The bonding ceremony takes place on the first night of the full moon. The entire kingdom gathers to witness as Torin and I exchange vows beneath the stars. I wear a gown of silver and white, and around my neck, the pendant that has been with me since childhood gleams in the moonlight. When Torin takes my hand and speaks the ancient words of bonding, I feel something shift inside me. Not the curse, not the darkness, but something new, something that feels almost like a howl rises from the forest, echoing across the clearing, and then another, and another. Every wolf in the kingdom lifting their voices in celebration. I cannot join them. I still have no wolf. But as I stand there with Torin's hand in mine, listening to the symphony of howls, I realize that it does not matter. I am Luna, not because I can shift, but because I chose to love fearlessly, to sacrifice freely, to break the unbreakable. Later that night, As we lie together in the royal chambers, Torin traces patterns on my bare shoulder. Do you regret it? He asks quietly. Giving up your anonymity, your quiet life, to become Luna? Never, I say without hesitation. Do you regret choosing me over duty, over safety, over everything you were taught an Alpha King should be? Not for a single moment. We fall asleep wrapped in each other's arms, and for the first time in 50 years, Torin sleeps without nightmares. The curse is broken. The cycle is ended. And our true life finally can begin.